development. Plus, China retaliates with tariffs on $60 billion on U.S. goods. Details of these and more on this edition of Business Express, reaching you on the network service of the NTA. I am Amina Nujaim. Welcome. The Central Bank of Nigeria has intervened in the interbank forex exchange market to the tune of $210 million. Figures obtained from the central bank showed that the bank offered $100 million to authorized dealers in the wholesale segment of the market, while the small and medium enterprises segment received $55 million. Customers requiring foreign exchange for invisibles such as tuition fees, medical payments and basic travel allowances were also allocated $55 million. The Director of Corporate Communications Department, CBN, Isaac Okorafor, who confirmed the figure, reaffirmed the bank's commitment to continue to intervene in the country's interbank forex exchange markets. The Africa Development Bank, along with some partners across the globe, has announced the securing of $1 billion to enable investment in infrastructure development across the African continent, including Nigeria. The announcement, which was made in Ottawa, Canada, according to a statement, listed partners in the multi-level securitization to include the European Commission, Marina Investment Group, LLC, Africa 50, among others. The president of AFDB Group, Akinwumi Adeshina, believes that room to run gives the bank fresh resources to invest in projects Africa's need the most. The federal government has formalized the sale of 21% of its interest in the Nigerian Security Printing and Minting PLC to the Central Bank of Nigeria. Chairman of the National Council on Privatization and Vice President of Nigeria, Yemi Oshinbajo, at the signing of the agreement says the involvement of the private sector is to further stress the philosophy that government has no business in business. State House correspondent Jide Onifade reports.
Sticking to regulatory role and lending support to the private sector where necessary by government would better lead to efficiency and growth of the nation's economy, Vice President Yemi Oshinbajo explains at the signing ceremony.
I don't necessarily believe that government should not participate in business at all. Of course, the central bank itself is a public asset, is a public resource. But Delarue, of course, is a private sector company that is in this business. And the whole idea is that there are synergies that could come from public and private sector coming together, especially in these kinds of rather complex processes. Security printing has taken new dimensions.
In the last 30 years, over 140 public-owned companies have been privatized, and perhaps this is the largest so far.
You can look at the central bank as a pseudo-government entity, but it's actually an independent, manager of the monetary policy of the country. So we really don't see it as transferring a government asset to another government asset. We see the central bank as a strategic investor in an operation that is considered very, very sensitive and is best suitable, for the investment of the Central Bank of Nigeria.
The Nigerian Security Printing and Minting PLC was slated for privatization pursuant to Section 1, Subsection 3 of the Public Enterprises Privatization and Commercialization Act of 1999. Previous attempts to privatize the company between 2002 and 2004 has proved unsuccessful. Central Bank of Nigeria's strategic investment in the company was a success, achieving the objective of turning around the fortunes of the company and returning it to profitability.
The mint is a gold mine, and what we have achieved is nothing compared to what we are capable of achieving. So this is just the estimate. We believe that we'll be able to do much better over time.
Government still retains an equity holding of 10.1%. The central bank would oversee the company, which will now be managed by De La Rue Printing Company. The transaction is expected to contribute a net sum of over 17 billion naira to the treasury. In the State House, Jide Onifade, NTA News.
Press reaching you live on the network service of the NTA. You can participate in the program by sending your messages to our email address businessexpress@nta.gov.ng presently on your screen, or follow us via our Twitter handle NTA Business Now. Don't forget to use the hashtag BizExp. The Africa Export-Import Bank says it has closed a Korean-focused $150 million club facility, which has Shinhan Bank as coordinator and lender. Other banks participating as lenders in the facility, which has a 3-year tenure, are Kebhan Bank and 2 other banks. It is expected that the facility would greatly enhance AfricExim's capacity to achieve its core mandate, in particular expanding intra-Africa trade, supporting export manufacturing, and significantly filling the trade finance gap the continent was currently experiencing by providing it with the requisite funding capabilities at a competitive price. Financing technology has been described as the way to go for Nigeria to gain the much-needed economic stability. This was at the front burner as women accountants in Abuja brainstorm on a new digital technology they can use to promote effective service delivery. Other issues discussed are the role of accountants in taxation and women's financial inclusion.
As women, we are the home builders. We are the people who will remind our husbands, have you paid? We should also pay our own and ensure that every other person plays their role in the area of taxation in this country.
Yeah, talking about the financial technology in our country, of course, the world is moving digital. Yeah, over the years, we have been battling with financial transactions on not remitting transaction instantly. But today, there's a technology in the world that is called a blockchain that can harness and enhance the way transactions are being run.
In the studio, we have Professor Said Akutsun. He is an entrepreneur, economist, Nasarawa State University, to talk about financial inclusion. Welcome to the program Business Express.
Thank you very much.
How would you assess Nigeria's financial inclusion generally?
It depends on which angle we want to look at it. If you look at the inclusive policy that is being touted by the government, and that's not giving us the desired effect, because the net to which we want to cover, we have a lot of people outside that frame. And so, it's good we're making progress rather than stagnating. So what it means is that it's just a matter of time that we expand the inclusion net to have more people into financial frame. And I think we're in the right step.
How would you see government's effort towards promoting financial inclusion?
Well, the government has already begun the process to see that people are included, especially in the financial subsector, and in fact, including the capital market. For instance, the area that we're lacking behind, especially, is in the insurance financial subsector, which indeed that we need to have more people participating in that angle. But in the banking sector, of course, you have a lot of people with now the digital process, the GSM, the handset, and all that. The rural people are getting involved. They can transact using their handset and all that. But other sectors are being lagged behind, and I think it has to be inclusive enough to capture every aspect of the financial subsector.
Now you are talking about inclusive.
Yeah.
We have certain policies, for instance, the collateral-free loans introduced by the federal government, where it's looking at giving loans to small-scale, say, traders or petty traders in the market and stuff. Most of them, yes, they do have handsets. But would you say a large go to the banks?
Yes. For instance, if you notice, within the past few years, transaction at ATM has improved, and including of the ATM, of the counter transaction, using the handset and all that. But let me say that the government effort towards giving people a zero-interest loan or whatever it is, and also using the non-interest facility that is available, well, is good. But the capacity of people to see this loan as an incentive for them to grow their business, to expand their income, is not there yet. For instance, the Bank of Industry has had this challenge because the Bank of Industry has different set of loans, single digit, zero interest, and the rest of them. But the people you are dealing with don't have that capacity to use those loans effectively. And that is why, apart from the women folk, we have had a lot of bad loans, and people have not been paying on that. And if you check, they don't understand what it's meant for. And so they need to grow their capacity. They need to be trained in such a way that when they get this loan, they know that they'll effectively use it. And that is the challenge that we've been having all over.
Who trains them?
Of course, we have to say that this financial institution, especially the development bank, like Bank of Industry, to liaise with small and medium-scale enterprises, Bank of Agriculture, and other development financial institutions to ensure that they are trained. Then we have what we call the business service providers who are also involved. And sometimes they are expected to be paid by these people that have been trained. But government can fund it and support it so that these people will build their capacity to be able to access the loan and use it judiciously.
Okay. We are talking about financial institutions. We are talking about loans. We are talking about inclusion.
Yeah.
Now, where do you see the importance of technology? And how much should the country invest in technology to make this happen?
Oh, fantastic. You know, your report just mentioned about the women, involved in using the financial technology. Very brilliant. And I saw that they're involved. And I saw the tribunal is also involved, and some youth there and all that. Well, fantastic. One thing we are lacking, I've been conducting research on digital technology. We've gotten some funding from the U.S. Embassy and the rest of that. We are far back when it comes to using the digital, framework, for this financial something. So we have a lot of challenge there. And I think that's the area that our government and other development partners should look at, so that people will build that capacity to be able to see that the world is going digital.
In all of this, where is the place of tax?
Well, sincerely, the tax net and this has improved drastically, especially with this volunteer, income and asset declaration that was done. And sincerely, you can see that there is improvement. So, of course, there are times, some of these people, as I mentioned, training, they need to understand the tax system, the operation, and whatever they can have. And a lot of advocacy have been made that government should give some tax incentive to start up, so that you encourage them and all that. Because at the end of the day, if you give some tax holiday for some time, those startups will grow and do better. And I think that is where we are. Okay.
In the long run, what would be your final word?
Yes, they said in the long run we are all dead. That's what John Maynard Keynes said, that we should run short run and we should be in a hurry to achieve. But we hope that we will not be dead in the long run. So we need to invest on capacity building. We need to invest on infrastructure. We need to invest on things that in the long run will not be crawling, will not be running. As it is now, when it comes to SME, we are still backward. So the long run, there is a bright future for it.
Professor said AfricExim, in the long run, there's hope.
Yes.
He is an entrepreneur, economist of Nasarawa State University, Kefi. It's a pleasure having you on the program.
Thank you very much.
Today.
My pleasure. Yeah.
Now, moving on. Ahead of October 1st, 2018 commencement date for the insurance companies' tier-based minimum solvency capital policy, the National Insurance Commission, NICOM, says it will not cancel the license of companies. The Commissioner for Insurance, Mohammed Kari, in Abuja, is emphasizing that the Commission will not stampede shareholders to inject fresh capital.
In an industry, you weigh and measure what you do to ensure the survival of the industry. If you have an industry that is good, regulation is much easier. If you have an industry that is not so good, regulation is more difficult.
Kari says the aim of the regulator is to checkmate the excesses of insurance companies for the benefit of policyholders, investors, and the economy. Now, talking revenue, the Nigerian Customs Service Tinkan 2 Command Lagos has declared a total revenue collection of over 1 billion naira for the month of August 2018, despite business degradation, which indicated that it recorded 71.3% of the total monthly target. A statistical report of the command shows that in the same corresponding period of 2017, the Tinkan 2 command generated a total sum of 1.7 billion. This, however, indicates a drop of 687 million. China on Tuesday announced a tariff hike of $60 billion on U.S. products in response to President Donald Trump's latest increase in a dispute over Beijing's technology policy. The announcement followed a warning by an American business group that a downward spiral in the conflict appeared certain following Trump's penalties on 200 billion of Chinese goods. The finance minister said it was going ahead with plans to announce August 11 for the increases of 10% and 5% on 5.207 types of U.S. goods. A list released last month include coffee, honey, and industrial chemicals. The increase is aimed at curbing the trade friction of United States. The ministry said on its website it appealed for a pragmatic dialogue to jointly safeguard the principle of free trade and the multilateral trade system. Oil holds $80 supply, concern expected to underpin prices. Here is a graphic summary of the commodity markets. Stocks rose on Tuesday despite trade war between U.S. and China. Let's take a look.
Stocks in Africa were majorly positive on Tuesday, 18th September. South Africa FTSE Africa Top 40 advanced 0.05%, Tunisia's Tunidex 0.29%, Kenya Nairobi All Share 0.11%, Namibia overall 1.01%, and Ghana's GSA Composite Index also appreciated 1.03%. Asian markets were largely positive despite an escalation in trade tension between the United States and China. Shanghai Composite added 48.16 points to close 2,699.95. Hang Seng Index 0.56%, and Nikkei remained unchanged at 23,420.54. Stocks rose on Tuesday in the United States as the latest tariffs on U.S. and Chinese goods were not as bad as previously feared. Dow Jones Industrial Average appreciated 0.71%, S&P 500 rose 0.54%, and Nasdaq Composite Index also advanced by 0.76%. European stocks were mixed at the end of trading on Tuesday as investors mulled over the recent announcement from the US and China in their tit-for-tat trade war. DAX appreciated by 61.26 points to close 12,157.67. CAC 40 by 14.92 points to 5,363.79. While FTSE 100 declined by 0.03% to close 7,300.23.
Many thanks, Bosede. Now from the Nigerian Stock Exchange, the NSE All-Share Index closed Wednesday, the 19th of September 2018 in the negative, losing 0.02% to close at 32,375.12 basis points, with market capitalization at 11.8 trillion naira. Now, how is the saving culture of Nigerians, and how investment conscious are Nigerians? Let's take this report by Bosede Abel.
Being rich and having lots of money is everybody's desire. But having lots of money and knowing what to do about it is a different ball game altogether. Now I'm at Area 10 UTC, where market is booming, and we need to know what people will do with 1 million naira if they have it. Come with me. Now, Victor, if you're given 1 million naira, what would you do with it?
I will invest into agricultural business. Agricultural business like piggery. Like now, if you buy a foreign pig is 100,000. A foreign pig. If you get one, and a pig can give birth up to 16 children.
Invest, business. I'll do business with it. Yes. Provision. If people always want to eat.
I will split it into 3. And as a good law-abiding citizen, the first thing I'll do is to go to any of the IDP camps and give them a piece.
You can start with your shop with 1 million naira. You can rent a shop, then you get the business starts.
I have projects in mind that even 1 million will not be enough. So if I have 1 million naira, at least it will go a long way.
I've always dreamed of having my own, like selling a restaurant. A restaurant. I think that is what really pays more, because food is something we all definitely going to eat every day. I'm not saying other business are bad, but I just feel food, restaurants, is going to fetch me more money.
1 million is a big money in Nigeria now. Give me 1 million now. I can use 200,000 to start my business. Use the rest to printing business, as you can see, stamp, seal. Then I'll use the rest to train my family.
Well, what would you do with 1 million naira? While we leave you pondering what you would do with that, let's take a look at the currency of how the naira is exchanging. a wrap on Business Express today, but do remember to send us your feedback via email businessexpress@nta.gov.ng. You can also reach us through our Twitter, and the handle is NTA News Now. Don't forget to use the hashtag BizX showing on your screen. All previous episodes are available on NTA's YouTube channel. Thanks for watching. See you on Friday.
Everyone wants power. So feel powerful with the NTA News mobile app, the one-stop information center. Real news at your fingertip. Be the first to report by uploading first information on the You Report link, and be the first to know by simply clicking on any of the links on the sidebar for headlines, domestic and foreign news, economy, security, politics, sports, and more. Stream live on your smartphone and tablets and stay connected. It's pretty easy. Simply download NTA News app from your Google Play Store and you're good to go. NTA News mobile app, your access to real-time information.
You don't do. I don't tire for all the things where you do yarn.
Blood don't be right. You the yarn no pata. Shey you think say na only you fit buga? I go show you.
This matter don't pass, be careful.
You dey show yourself all these years, I just dey look you. This time, you go know the kind of person we are.
I've been the watch as you dey try scatter my future.
The future where I dey try
organize for myself.
Small. Na him you dey try kill, abi?
Na to kill, scatter, and destroy my purpose always dey your agenda, abi? Oh, but
of the ICPC Act. Let us remember that Section 8 talks about a situation where the public officer corruptly asks. But in a situation where somebody corruptly offers or gives any kind of benefit to a public officer in order to enable the public officer to do his duty or to forbear from doing his duty, or in respect of a duty that the public officer has already done, such person that gives those kind of inducement or bribe or benefit is also guilty of an offense and is liable on conviction for 7 years imprisonment. So what we are talking about basically here is that both the giver and the taker are both liable under sections 8 and 9 of the ICPC Act. Now we move to section 10. Section 10 talks about corrupt demand by persons. If we remember that section 8 and section 9 talks about corruptly demanding and corruptly offering to a public officer. Now section 10 deals with people generally, not necessarily only public officer. So when a person demands for a bribe, receives a bribe, offers a bribe to any official in order to make that official to either do his duty, which he normally has to do, whether there is inducement or not, or to refrain from doing a duty which he's supposed to do, or for a duty that he has already done and finished, and then somebody comes back and gives him any kind of benefit or gratification in respect of that duty, such a person is also guilty of an offense, both the giver and the taker, under section 10, and it also attracts a punishment of 7 years imprisonment. What we are doing is that we basically want the public to know about these provisions of the law. We know that a popular saying says that ignorance of the law is not an excuse under the law. So anybody who commits an offense that is punishable under the ICPC Act will not be hard to say, I didn't know that these things are offenses. Whether you know them or you don't know them, if you commit any offense that is contrary to the ICPC Act and the law catches up with you, you'll be prosecuted and you'll be jailed accordingly. So we are appealing to the general public to stay away from corruption. Thank you very much.
Corruption not in my country. Dalali, my business has been going down. I need your help.
Bawahala. I will show you the formula. I use some bad chemical which I mix, so produce the drugs which gives me up to 4 times profit. Imagine, pa.
So you are one of the people that is killing millions and millions of Nigerians in this country. Daladi, was it not you last 2 months that was complaining about the fuel scarcity in this country, that the government is corrupt?
Have I killed anybody in your family?
You don't have to kill any of my family members directly. Every Nigerian you kill is my family. Selling of fake drugs, expired drugs, putting drugs in wrong packets, all that are acts of corruption. This is corruption, not in my country. CIA.
Me? Fake drug? Now corruption? Allah kia.
Stop corruption now. Corruption not in my country.
Thank you for watching this edition of the program. Public officers at federal, state, and local government levels are expected to draw lessons from these convictions by being upright in their conduct and doing the right thing even when no one is watching. Remember that public office is public trust. Do not betray it. You can watch us via our YouTube channel, reach us through our social media platforms, and contact us through the following addresses as shown on the screen. See you again next week. I am Ruth Awudi, saying bye for now.
In 1953, the Federal Institute for Industrial Research, Oshodi, FIRO, was established. Since then, FIRO has been engaged in research work, solving problems and discovering new ways to make life better for Nigerians. These discoveries and research findings must be made available to Nigerians, medium and small-scale enterprises, and the international community. And the vehicle to do this is FIRO House, Africa's first industrial TV reality show, produced and packaged by Lashon Links Limited. For details on how to be part of the show, please visit our website on www.firohouse.tv or call 081-873-55745. Lashon Links FIRO House, bringing Nigerian technology to your doorstep.
Zuma Film Festival 2018 Abuja. Theme: Archiving for Creativity. Date: December 1st to 7th, 2018. Featuring film screenings, masterclasses, special tributes, NFC Annual Film Lecture, NFC Annual Essay Competition Awards, special national and state days, Lifetime Achievement Awards, and Zuma Film Festival 2018 Awards. Submission of entries for non-competition, competition and screening is ongoing and closes September 30th, 2018. All entries should be forwarded to the Festival Director, Zuma Film Festival Nigerian Film Corporation, headquarters in Jos, and or its zonal offices in Abia, Lagos, Kano, Asaba, Yola, and Abuja, or through the Film Freeway online platform, www.filmfreeway.com. For further inquiries, call 0033146842, 08052728321, or 08063390420, or visit the website www.zumafilmfest.gov.ng. Zuma Film Festival 2018, December 1st to 7th, Abuja, Nigerians' foremost film festival.
If you hear a bomb explosion or gunshots of an active shooter, that might be a terror attack. At such times, always remember 3 action words: run, hide, report. Don't try to run towards the terror scene to save the situation, because there might be a second bomb blast or another attack. Run far away and take cover. Make sure you are safe first. Yes, it is in our nature to sympathize over the hurt, but remember, only trained personnel can help in such situations. When in a secured environment, promptly call relevant authorities and help will come. For anonymous reporting, call 09630-3250-5 or 0813-2222-106. If you see something, say something. Nigeria unite against terrorism. This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
NTA, you can't beat the rich.
I am Adeola Omokibi, and the program you're watching is Sports Real. Keep it with us.
Fans, they don't understand the rules or the laws of the game.
Hello and welcome to that program of yours on the NTA Sports Channel, Knowing Golf.
Thanks for joining us on another edition of Sports Guest on the NTA. My name is Kenem Emma Abodike. Welcome indeed to Saturday Sports Arena on the NTA Sports 24.
It would not be if you continue to just have these vague means of saying these are the yardsticks I want to use.
League Service, a program designed to bring you up to speed with happenings in Nigerian football leagues.
You are watching NTA, Nigerian Television Authority. For more information and news updates, visit our website at www.nta.ng, or you can follow us on Twitter at NTA News Now, or you can like us on Facebook at NTA Network News. Stay connected on our YouTube channel at www.youtube.com/NTA News Online. Watch our live stream at www.nta.ng/live. NTA, you can't beat the rich.
Yes.
My name is Jane, and I am 18, and this is where I hang out with my friends. We are deeply concerned about the problems facing Nigeria, but when it comes to doing something about it, we would rather sit on the fence.
Pull up.
Dab. Yes.
Good to have you join us on NTA. The program is nationwide. My name is Bintu Aliyu Sumono. Now, the rise in water level at tributaries of River Benue has continued to cause a threat in most flood-prone areas in Adamawa State. Simon Asha, who monitored the situation in some communities in the state, reports that despite signs of potential flood occasioned by water level, residents of those areas have continued to exhibit a nonchalant disposition towards the impending danger.
Frequent rainfalls have continued to be witnessed in most riverine communities in Adamawa State, an indication that flood may occur in no distant time in the state. This is the situation in many flood-prone areas visited in different communities across the state, with increase in the water level gradually finding its way to houses and business premises of the people. However, despite signs and several warnings by authority concerned, the residents of these areas seem not to be worried about any impending flood.
It can't be possible to leave this place because we are using this place and benefit ourselves and some people here. This is our best place. So we have no any other places to stay except here.
Head of Operations, National Emergency Management Agency, Yola Operations Office, Abani Imam Garki, says already safer grounds for temporary shelter in case of any potential flood has been identified so as to mitigate the impact in case of any eventuality.
We did an analysis on the implications in the various sectors of the economy, and we have made recommendations, and our expectations is for the appropriate authority, including the state government, to take these measures.
In Yola, Simon Asha, NTA News.
Meanwhile, Nigerians are assured of intensified efforts and intervention to curtail a likely reoccurrence of the 2012 devastating flood. This was part of the mission of discussants on NTA's Current Affairs program Tuesday Live. Talatu Ezerike reports.
Some cities in the country recorded high amounts of rainfall in the last 24 hours, with Lokoja recording as high as about 73.8 millimeters. This situation places Lokoja at high risk of flooding. For
information, they say, is power, and trust the conventional media for timely and accurate reportage.
From the electronics to the print, the trending story is that of flooding, dominating major discourse.
Houses are gone, people are gone,
all because of flooding.
What's the work of the town planners? Why can't them now remedy the situation on time?
There are apprehensions, especially with reports of increase in the volume of water in rivers and dams, spelling more doom for coastal line areas. Indicators are pointing to another disaster, likened to the scale of the massive flooding of 2012 if water is released from the Lagdo Dam in Cameroon. Interestingly, the National Emergency Management Agency NEMA has declared national disaster in 4 states and placed 8 other frontline states under strict monitoring, as well as beefed up interventions for any eventuality.
The communities were identified, personnel of various skills were deployed there, such as rescue relief personnel, and the President made it very, very clear to us. If we can stop losing a single life, we must do all we can to stop it. The political will is there, and then we are moving.
We embark on serious sensitization to our locals. Minister of Agric do key in. Look for better, improved agric seeds to go to the farm.
But can some good be derived from flooding?
The water is brackish, is brown, is full of sedimentation and fine silt. Literally, this is full fertilizer flowing. Fantastic for agriculture.
Not only should Nigeria have some national vulnerability mapping system, which is the next level that NEMA should go to. The local authorities can take and say, you cannot site that building there.
Well, the general advice is for a rethink over some man-made actions that give rise to flooding and even climate change for healthy environment. Talati Ezorike, NTA News.
Thank you, Talatu. Now, imbibing environment-friendly habits is key to tackling the current flooding menace. This is contained in a communique at the end of a 2-day workshop on ways to evolve a national framework for flood emergency response and management in the country. Elizabeth Outoma reports that it is at the instance of Edo State Government and the ECOWAS Early Warning Mechanism Center.
The workshop, in response to predictions by the Nigerian Meteorological and National Hydrological Agencies, also states that it is imperative to put robust plans in place to mitigate the effect of natural disasters in the country. The gathering recalls the flood disaster of 2012, which affected 7,705,398 persons, 2,157,149 displaced, and 363 people dead, highlighting that in Edo State alone, about 35 communities have been sacked by flood, occasioned by persistent rainfall and overflow of riverbanks in the last few weeks. Community heads, the communique states, have a role to play in educating the people on the need to keep the environment clean.
Each local government should have a contingency plan in place. And we are now going to develop a state contingency plan.
We expect all our local government chairmen to come up with their own proposals.
A roadwork to sensitize the people on the dangers associated with the indiscriminate dumping of waste rounded off the workshop. In Benin, Elizabeth Owotwoma, NTA News.
Still talking flood, more than 7,000 persons in Niger State have been displaced by flood in the last 3 months. To cushion the effects of the flood, the state government has released about 90 million naira for the purchase of relief materials for the victims. Mary Nobraji reports.
Flood in Niger State has continued to ravage more farmlands, public and private buildings, while the death toll has risen to 41. 16 local government areas are the worst hit among the 22 affected, with the number of displaced persons put at about 7,000. 1,000 of these are being camped by the state government in Zungeru and Kakakiri, while 6,000 victims are taken aboard with relatives in safer communities.
The flood that's flooding our village, so all our farm, our houses and our other structure, the water has already engulfed all of them.
We never seen something happen like this.
With the state recording more damages, the state government has moved into cushion their effect by releasing about 90 million naira for the purchase of assorted grains, comprising 1,000 bags of rice, maize, sorghum, and gari each, as well as palm oil and vegetable oil. Investigation, however, reveals that flood situation in Niger State has been aggravated by the release of water from the surrounding hydroelectric dams in the state, coupled with illegal structures built on waterways.
Some of those places, they're ancestral homes, but we have to continue to communicate to them the dangers. We have to request for support from the federal government. That is exactly what we're doing.
Niger State government says it has expended about 900 million naira on disaster management in the last 3 years. Mary Noepershi, NTA News.
Now away from flooding issues, the federal government has received the 2018 United Nations Education, Scientific and Cultural Organization UNESCO Award for Literacy and Skills Acquisition for Nigerian prison inmates. This is part of the positive results of the prisons reforms embarked upon by the President Muhammadu Buhari-led administration. Murjadatu Adam Said reports.
In civilized societies, what inmates are made to lose is their freedom only. They have access to other amenities available to others outside prisons. Since inception, the present administration has remained committed to implementing prisons reform policies in the areas of welfare, rehabilitation, and protection of the rights and improving the plight of prison inmates. Minister of Interior, Abdulrahman Bello Dambazou, while receiving the 2018 UNESCO Award on behalf of the federal government, said already more funds have been approved to improve the condition of prisons and inmates in line with United Nations standards.
Our prisons are overcrowded, but prisons reforms is not just about the congestion of the prison. It is part of it. It is also about treatment, rehabilitation, and reformation of the prisoners. It is about the welfare of the prisoners and the staff. It is about the protection of the rights and privileges of the prisoners and the staff.
UNESCO representative believe that the award to Nigerian prison service is well deserved. The era of prison inmates coming out of prisons is over under the present administration. Former South African President Nelson Mandela of blessed memory once said, "The strength of a nation is being measured by the way it takes care of its prisons or prison inmates." So, if your country is ready for development, the welfare of prison inmates must be taken into consideration. And from the look of things, the present administration is ready for development. In Abuja, Marjanatu Adam Said, NTA News.
Meanwhile, efforts will be intensified to decongest the prisons across Ogun State. The new Chief Judge, Mosumola Dipeolu, stated this shortly after she was sworn in by the State Governor, Ibikunle Amosun, prior to the commencement of the legal year in Abeokuta. Lekon Abondi reports.
Ibikunle Amosun urged the new Chief Judge to take up challenges in the system and move the judiciary to greater heights.
When you are given responsibilities like this, it is an opportunity for you to serve. Yes, we are happy that you are doing something now, but it comes with a lot of responsibility.
Justice Dipeolu said she was ready to tackle head-on the critical challenges confronting judicial system in the state, noted among various challenges the issue of prison congestion and condition of service in the judiciary.
Now, if we take the court to the prison, the issue of no vehicle will not be there, and the magistrates will be able to perform their duties. Even high courts can sit at the prisons. We are now trying to make provisions for places either in the prisons or very close to the prisons.
She later led the bar and bench to a special church service while special prayers were held at the Central Mosque to start off the 2018-2019 legal year. The state governor, Ibekule Amosun, and other top functionaries of government were also in attendance. In Abeokuta, Lekon Agbonde, NTA News.
Let's now join Elizabeth in Lagos for more stories on Nationwide. Over to you, Elizabeth.
Hello, Bintu. It's nice to see you and welcome to Lagos. The Lagos State Commissioner of Police has again assured expatriates, especially those resident in the state, of their safety. The police commissioner gave the assurance when he received the Japanese ambassador to Nigeria at the command's headquarters in Ikeja. Doing Dia reports.
The VC Commission has a commitment to give the most security to those Japanese business and Japanese residents here. And so it will be a great impetus for the future, even closer relationship between the both countries.
Lagos State Commissioner of Police Imoimi Edgar said the command will not relent in its responsibility of ensuring the safety of both Nigeria and Japanese citizens in Lagos State.
Your nationals are safe. Please tell them that they should enjoy Lagos nightlife. They should enjoy some of our fun spots at their leisure time. Security has been provided for that, especially now that the Lagos State International Trade Fair is coming up.
Encourage foreign nationals to do their business and socialize, but always work within the ambit of the law. In Lagos, Doing Dia, NTA News.
Sexual violence is reportedly going up in Lagos State. The Domestic and Sexual Violence Team of the government of the Lagos State says 1,000 to address the problem.
Precious case is just one out of many. The number of cases of domestic and sexual violence in Lagos has increased, and about 5 cases recorded daily, going by the report of the Domestic and Sexual Violence Response Team.
What the justice sector of Lagos State government is doing is saying no to violence, no to sexual violence, no to domestic violence.
It's important that we realize the role the family has to play in, 1, preventing this from happening in the first place, and 2, when it does happen, how do you respond?
This symposium is meant to educate the general public on the effect, one of which is silence, that affects the victim's well-being irrespective of gender.
The home is the first schooling that the child is exposed to. And a child learns violence, he engages in violence when he grows up. A child learns love, he learns to give love.
Stakeholders say the theme for the symposium, Securing the Home Against Violence, Everyone's Responsibility, is apt because the fight against domestic and sexual violence must begin from the home and must involve everyone. In Lagos, Hingino John Adams, NTA News.
Time now to join Nuru in our Sokoto Network Center for stories making the rounds in that region. Hello, Nuru.
Thank you, Elizabeth, and welcome to Sokoto. The Sokoto State Police Command has banned the use of abusive language by political parties during election campaigns. Commissioner of Police Murtala Osman Mani disclosed this during a crucial security meeting with stakeholders and political parties in Sokoto. Muhammad Nasir completes the report.
The meeting was attended by 63 registered political parties, representatives of Independent National Electoral Commission, National Orientation Agency, and relevant stakeholders. It deliberated on current political atmosphere in Sokoto State. State Commissioner of Police Murtala Usman Mani said political parties should engage in explaining their manifestos to electorates rather than hitting the polity with slogans and abusive languages. He said it is mandatory for all political parties to work in accordance with the rules and regulations governing the elections. The Commissioner cautioned against use of weapons or pasting posters on unauthorized places during campaigns, as such attitude will not be tolerated by the police.
It is expedient for any political party to formally inform the security agencies of any meeting, rally, or procession for enhanced security, and at the same time prepare to contend any untoward. This is for the joint interest of the public and the safety of the party members as well.
State Resident Electoral Commissioner, Independent National Electoral Commission Abubakar Sadiq Musa said INEC has put in place the necessary mechanisms to ensure free, fair, and credible elections. State Director, National Orientation Agency Abubakar Madadan Chadi reminded political parties that ensuring election devoid of any violence is a collective responsibility. In Sokoto, Muhammad Nasir, NTA News.
Independent National Electoral Commission INEC says it has banned the use of phone cameras in the cubicle during voting process to discourage ban of voters by politicians. INEC National Commissioner in charge of Edo, Rivers, and Bayelsa states, who is also chairperson Legal Services Complaints and Clearance.
Buying votes or PVCs from electorates.
What has happened, I was part of the team that went to Ekiti for the elections, and people tend to bring their telephones, smartphones, into the cubicle. And after voting, they take a photograph of the party they have voted for, and of course they show it to those who are the buyers. And so we have decided that we're going to change the position of the cubicles and ban phones from the cubicles.
The National Commissioner said INEC has concluded all arrangements and only waiting for the budget to round off training and is fully prepared for the elections. She added that INEC welcomes reports on any misconduct that hinders successful conduct of the 2019 general election for necessary action. In Sokoto, Aminu Bello Kaoji, NTA News.
More news to come after this commercial break. Don't go away.
Hate speech is not a joke. It incites genocide and crimes against humanity. Most of Africa's civil wars are caused by hate speech from one tribe against another. We don't want it here. The Nigerian government stands firm against hate speech.
Under no conditions whatsoever should we tolerate or excuse or justify hate speech or hateful conduct of any kind, especially where such is illegal.
There's no doubt that the resurgent push for separatism, as well as the rising cases of ethnic and religious disharmony, are all traceable to the growing phenomenon of hate speech.
One nation bound in freedom, peace and unity.
Nigeria, one nation, one people.
This is a public service announcement brought to you by NTA.
For years, the NTA has been promoting science, technology, arts and crafts under the tagged name National Children's Expo. We are set with another edition as we gather children around Nigeria, junior category ages 6 to 12 and senior category ages 13 to 18. The theme for Expo 2018, achieving self-sufficiency in agriculture, meeting the challenges of security and exposition of alternative energy as pathways to national development. Date, October 21st to 25th, 2018. Venue, NTA Headquarters Arena, Area 11, Garki, Abuja. We are set to celebrate the best of innovation across the country. For more information, please call the following numbers. NTA ETV, promoting learning.
Fake news which is shared for malicious purposes is a danger to our peace and security in Nigeria. Misinformation as fake news is a serious threat to our hard-earned democracy and promotes hatred and misunderstanding between our communities. We are all responsible for stopping the spread of fake news in its tracks. So, always check the source and credibility of any news item. Say no to fake news. This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information.
Zuma Film Festival 2018 Abuja. Theme: Archiving for Creativity. Date: December 1st to 7th, 2018. Featuring film screenings, masterclasses, special tributes, NFC Annual Film Lecture, NFC Annual Essay Competition Awards, special national and state days, Lifetime Achievement Awards, and Zuma Film Festival 2018 Awards. Submission of entries for non-competition, competition and screening is ongoing and closes September 30th, 2018. All entries should be forwarded to the festival director, Zuma Film Festival Nigerian Film Corporation, headquarters in Jos, and or its zonal offices in Abia, Lagos, Kano, Asaba, Yola, and Abuja, or through the Film Freeway online platform, www.filmfreeway.com. For further inquiries, call 0033146842, 08052728321, or 08063390420, or visit the website www.zumafilmfest.gov.ng. Zuma Film Festival 2018. December 1st to 7th, Abuja, Nigerian's foremost film festival.
I moved into this place in 2001, and as at that time, Precious was in secondary school. She became a very close family friend. So one day I came back from work to hear that she had an accident, that the machine cut off her hand.
When that happened, it was really painful. They have to rush me down to the hospital.
Glad that you're still there on NTA. Now, as part of efforts to ensure lasting peace in Guinea-Bissau and facilitate the peaceful conduct of parliamentary elections in November, ECOWAS Chairman President Muhammadu Buhari has dispatched a ministerial delegation to the country to meet with all political actors. The team, led by Nigeria's Foreign Affairs Minister Geoffrey Onyama, comprised of ECOWAS President Jean-Claude and other top officials, met with the President of Guinea-Bissau, Mario Vaz, the Prime Minister and ECOWAS mediator for Guinea-Bissau, among others. During the meeting, issues regarding the challenges of funding and logistics compliance with Peace and Stability Pact, as well as reforms and capacity building and the electoral body, were raised. Foreign Affairs Minister Geoffrey Onyama also told members of the P5, comprising of Mwabeze, reports that these formed part of the resolutions reached at the end of the party's National Working Committee meeting in Abuja.
Politics and issues concerning elections have lately dominated public discourse in the country, especially against the backdrop of the forthcoming 2019 general elections. Political parties in their preparations towards the general elections have, in their individual conduct of primaries, pursued the fundamentals of internal democracy with vigor. It is in this regard that the National Working Committee of the All Progressives Grand Alliance, ABGA, is imbibing in its members set principles of togetherness to present candidates for the elections that will enjoy the support of all card-carrying members of the party for success at the general elections.
ABGA has now got its presidential and vice presidential aspirants. So it's no longer speculation. Our presidential candidate will be unveiled as soon as our national convention is held.
The All Progressives Grand Alliance, ABGA, also enjoined the electorates to be law-abiding. In Abuja, Chukunonsonwa Bueze, NTA News.
Moving on now, over 782 persons, including those living with disabilities, have become beneficiaries of the rice and fish farming projects in Delta State. This is a fallout of the revamping of the agricultural sector in the state. Tessie Koka was among journalists who went on inspection of the facilities.
Governor Kowa, represented by his Chief Job Creation Officer, Professor Eric Cable, read out the successes recorded in the past 3 years of his administration in agriculture.
The rice that is going to come out from this whole enterprise is high quality rice. We would appeal to His Excellency that he will also help us promote the marketing of the rice.
The media men were taken to the 42 hectares rice farm in Sapele local government, established this year, where harvesting and treasury were going simultaneously.
We have had cooperation from the trainees, and they have shown the zeal to cultivate and process rice.
Ugbokodo farm of 154 fish ponds, which is the largest cluster in that area, was also inspected. The last port of call was the Agricultural Development Program's fish pond in Igbuzo of 81 fish pond capacity to 27 yage premiums in Asaba. Tessie Koka, NTA News.
Now from Delta, we move on to the northeast, where the Adamawa State chapter of the Tabital Pulako John de Jam Foundation has reiterated committed towards peace-building processes in the country, especially with the lingering farmers-herders clashes. Rayanu Bala reports that the foundation, during a visit on Governor Muhammad Umar Jibrilla, also registered its support to the second-term bid of President Muhammad Buhari.
Tabital Pulaku John de Jam Foundation is a group of Fulani people out to promote peace and unity in the society, especially with the lingering crisis between farmers and herders. Chairman of the foundation in Adamawa State, Abdu Ali, said, Fulanis are peace-loving people and efforts are being made to ensure a sustainable peace in the country, irrespective of ethnic or religious affiliations. Members of Tabital Pulaku John de Jam said, apart from initiating peace processes, the foundation is also mobilizing support for the re-election of President Muhammadu Buhari and Governor Muhammad Umar Jibrilla because of the achievements recorded in their administrations.
We support and we call all Fulanis and all languages in this country to vote President Muhammadu Buhari, Adamawa State Muhammadu Jibrilla Bindo, and all candidates of APC.
Governor Muhammad Umar Jibrilla tasked the foundation to explore all avenues at ensuring peace and stability in the state through consultations and harmonious living.
We all know when you are talking of security, Adamawa State is one of the frontline states. And we have very discussions with the leadership and the members. There are over thousands of them.
Similarly, over 30,000 women trained by the state government on various skills also registered their support to President Muhammadu Buhari and all APC candidates in the forthcoming 2019 elections. In Yola, Rayanu Bala, NTA News.
Now, the West African Qadiriya movement, led by Sheikh Karibullah Nasir Kabara, rose from its meeting in Dutse, Jigawa State, charging its members to take the lead in promoting peaceful coexistence, especially as Nigeria faces another round of elections. Awal Muhammad Kazauri reports that the group established a center for Islamic scholarship in the state.
It was an annual gathering of all members of Qadiriya movement led by Sheikh Karibullah Nasir Kabara, who discussed Islamic propagation, tolerance, and peaceful coexistence. As part of their engagement in Jigawa State, the group laid a foundation to establish an Islamic center for research and other intellectual activities for the training of Muslims. Both the leader of the movement and deputy governor of Jigawa State harp on the need for scholars to preach peace.
It's going to be a center not just for Islamic education, but for Western education as well, and for the upliftment of peaceful coexistence of not just Muslims from any sect, but Muslims and any other adherent of any religion in the country. So this must be encouraged against the backdrop of some of recent events happening.
I would like to take this opportunity to thank all brothers who will be with us here in this foundation in the Islamic school and Jumu'at Mosque.
While in Dutse, the Islamic scholars visited Governor Muhammad Badaru Abubakar and the Emir of Dutse, Dr. Nuhu Sanusi, to seek for their blessings. In Dutse, Awal Muhammad Kazauri, NTA News.
Moving on now, the National Identity Management Commission, NIMC, says the commission will soon harmonize captured biometric information of Nigerians in both public and private sectors. NIMC Director General Aliyu Aziz Abubakar said this on NTA's breakfast program, Good Morning Nigeria. Garba Muhammad Nata'ala reports.
The federal government of Nigeria approved that all agencies should work together to create that central bank database. And that is what is unique with NIMC. And that uniqueness will be the national identification number, not the card itself.
That is the Director General, NIMC, speaking on the planned initiative to harmonize all captured information by agencies. He said so far the Commission has introduced unique identification number to overcome challenges of identity harmonization.
It's going to be achieved by capturing the unique features of the person, which is the biometrics, in terms of the face, the picture of the face, then the fingerprints of an individual. That will make the individual unique.
Other guests on the program applauded the initiative, saying it has many spillover advantage, specifically reduction of operation cost of issuance of new cards, delays, and issues of duplication.
We've been working with NIMC, and we hope to achieve the objective set by the federal government to ensure that we interface.
However, they expressed concern about activities of cyber criminalities and advised the Commission to ensure that cybersecurity mechanisms are put in place to secure the national database.
What people need much more is data. If that data is not protected, that means I can harvest your data to intrude into a system.
The critical thing you need now is to be identified as a true Nigerian. So you need that number. So just register and get your number.
The guests are optimistic that just like the financial institutions, other establishments can verify the national identity of people with ease. In Abuja, Garba Muhammad Nata'ala, NTA News.
Thank you, Nata'ala. Now, a number of state governments set to tackle this year's impending floods. Details of this and other stories with Chinyere in our Enugu Network Center. Over to you, Chinyere.
Hello, Bintu, and welcome to Enugu. Anambra State government has reaffirmed its preparedness to tackling this year's impending floods. Governor Willie Obiano announced this during a meeting with the State Emergency Management Agency and support agencies where they dwelt on ways to mitigate the impending flood. Ndem Kalu has details.
Governor Willie Obiano said the meeting became imperative with the information indicating that Anambra State is one of the first states to declare state of emergency on flood. Hence, the need to reappraise the initial strategy by the state government to check the flooding. He noted that the state commenced preparations for the disaster about 5 months ago, as camps have been established across the affected local government areas.
Because of the speed of the flood, we have to call this meeting again to reappraise and see what we can fine-tune to be able to bring out a lot more people to those holding centers.
Deputy Governor of the state admitted that the support agencies are ready for the task but are waiting funds to enable them commence work. The Executive Secretary, State Emergency Management Agency, described the flood as a big threat, with the Nigerian Inland Water Authority confirming that the volume of River Niger has risen above 11 meters, urging those in flood-prone areas to relocate.
We have activated the 9 camps in the 9 shelters in the Anambra East local government. As we speak, our men are on their way, taking materials to Anambra East.
Commissioner for Health, Dr. Josephat Akabike, said the ministry has put measures in place at the holding centers with doctors designated emergencies that may arise. The meeting was attended by commissioners of relevant ministries, support agencies, and service commanders in the state. In Oka, Ndem Kalo, NTA News.
Also from Anambra, the state government has taken measures towards ensuring quality healthcare delivery for people and residents of the state. This followed the official launch of health insurance scheme by the state governor, Willie Obiano. Uchenna Wekoye reports that the event took place at Oka.
Governor Willie Obiano said his government will pay 10% counterpart funding to accommodate all civil servants and their families, adding that his government has paid for policies covering 10,000 people from across the state.
What this means is that if you register for the scheme with 1,000 naira and continue to pay your 1,000 naira every month, you will get a top quality medical attention for whatever disease or ailments you might have for a whole year.
The Executive Secretary of the National Health Insurance Scheme, Professor Usman Yusuf, said Anambra State understands the importance of good health as the scheme will drastically reduce the financial burden on the people.
Anambra State Health Insurance Scheme is starting on a very good footing. What is the footing? You have a governor who is very supportive.
Commissioner for Health, Dr. Josepha Takabike, said his scheme was to seek solution to the challenge of out-of-pocket expenditure for health as it was modeled after understanding the different systems of advanced societies. The Executive Secretary, Anambra State Health Insurance Agency, Dr. Simeon Oyemechi, said the agency has set up a 24-hour call center for easy access to the scheme. High point was the unveiling of the scheme by the governor, after which he was registered. In Oka, Ndemkalo, NTA News.
The General Officer commanding 82 Division of the Nigerian Army, Enugu, Major General Emmanuel Kabuk, has challenged officers and men of the Nigerian Army to be combat ready at all times in the face of emerging security challenges rocking the country. The GOC was speaking at the opening of a training organized for 82 Division Operations Planning Cadre in Enugu. Susan Eze reports.
Declaring the training open, the General Officer commanding 82 Division of the Nigerian Army, Major General Emmanuel Kabuk, said the workshop has become imperative to equip the officers with more knowledge for effective and efficient operations. The GOC urged them to make good use of the opportunity for better planning and promised to always give his support and respond to every security call.
It's expected to help make better officers for 82 Division and for the Nigerian Army at large.
In a paper titled Contemporary Security Challenges in Nigeria, Southeast in Perspective, the Commissioner of Police, Enugu State Command, Dammalam Mohammed, identified armed robbery, cultism, agitations, herdsmen and farmers' clashes as the major security challenges in the Southeast. The Commissioner emphasized that the earlier they are tackled, the better for the country. Also in another paper, Brigadier General Abdul Ibrahim advised officers to monitor events across the country to be well informed. Some participants described it as timely.
This has greatly enhanced our capacity and knowledge in the areas of contemporary security challenges across the country.
Other sister security agencies were also part of the training. An award was later presented to the Commissioner of Police, Enugu State Command, Dammalam Mohammed, for his outstanding presentation. About 55 participants drawn from various commands under 82 Division of the Nigerian Army attended the workshop. In Enugu, Susan Eze, NTA News.
And that's it from Enugu. Nationwide continues with Bintu in Abuja after this timeout.
This is my first experience riding this train. I've heard about it so much all around the city.
Actually, I'm surprised that such a development is coming to us.
I was impressed, saw it, and actually you can compare with any type of train, all over the world.
I could not imagine that I'll be going from Edo straight to the airport by train.
And the environment is so clean, and the ACs are cool.
I want to commend federal government for the initiative to provide these train services.
And I wish to
laud the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari in seeing that this project is a reality.
If you're ready to alight on the right side of the train, thank you.
Agenda 2030. As a successor framework for the Millennium Development Goals, the global community rolled out a bigger, deeper, and more encompassing framework called the Sustainable Development Goals, designed to transform our world, lift the poor out of poverty, as well as ensure inclusive and healthy society. On Agenda 2030, we take you on a media trip to the global destination of the future we want. With everyone on board, we focus on the people and their struggle, the civil society and their agitations, the government and her development effort, the global development agenda, its 17 goals and 169 targets. We bring you all the deliberations, insightful conversations, and high-level partnerships on the road to global destination. Agenda 2030, showing on this channel. Agenda 2030, leaving no one behind.
Yeah, Modena. Mode. Do you have Yamala? Yes. And Abula? Yes, sir. Black or white? Yamala. Have I ever eaten white Amala here before? Yes, sir. Give me Amala and Abula. Do you have Dodo? Dodo 2 grams. Good. Let me have some Dodo. I want you to put the meat in a bowl. Shaki, suku, abodi. I like my edo to be very tender. You have stockfish? Yes, sir. Good. Let's have some stockfish. And the catfish, my favorite. Don't mind them. You have eggs. I would like 6 boiled eggs. No eggs. Okay, the catfish will do. And then rice. Rice and then some salad. Look. Do you have a guru?
Thank you for staying tuned on Nationwide. Now, the Nigerian Army has commenced development of a brigade in Damaturu, Yobe State, to further strengthen its operations in the zone. Defense correspondent Ismail Musa reports that the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tukur Buratai, performed the groundbreaking ceremony in Damaturu.
Yobe State in northeast Nigeria has suffered attacks from the Boko Haram terrorist group. With the state bordering Niger, the area is also prone to transborder crime, proliferation of small and light weapons.
You'll agree with me that it's time such strategic military location is established in this part of the country, especially in view of our counterinsurgency operations. Let me acknowledge the tremendous contribution of the Yobe State government.
The project will provide barracks that will support the activities of 2 military battalions and Sector 2 Operation Lafia Dole operating in Yobe State. This will further secure the state and the region through enhanced rapid response to security threats. The land for the project and this Level 2 military hospital was donated by Yobe State government.
Now, in a bid to harmonize and increase productivity in the workplace, a two-day training workshop on how to enhance the skill of non-academic staff union of educational and associated institutions has been organized in Abuja. Hadiza Godwin Ebune has more.
Presenting a paper titled Effective Union Management Relationship, Director General, National Productivity Center, Dr. Kashim Akor says the purpose of collective bargaining is to negotiate an agreement which will meet the needs of the organization to remain competitive and profitable, as well as being responsive to individual interests, situation, and concerns of employees.
For you to promote industrial peace and harmony, the union members, just like the management, must be knowledgeable, must know the way and means of getting results, of getting what they want.
While declaring the training workshop open, Acting Director General, Institute for Peace and Conflict Resolution, Dr. Bakut Toa Bakut said a very important element of any administration is the resolution of industrial conflicts.
If you don't train your staff or individuals, they would really not have the capacity to perform their work.
We also organize this workshop to train our officers to know the importance of being a leader, not to fight your management, but to go into, to table with them.
Members of the union said the training is apt as it has enhanced their knowledge on obligation of union leaders and members' role in nation building.
Unionism is not about we no go agree again, it's about dialogue, that we come to a round table to talk.
The training will help you a lot, because if you don't have knowledge of leadership, you can't be a leader and you cannot be a union leader.
NASU say productivity is enhanced when union and management conflicts are mutually resolved, creating confidence in employees, thereby allowing the workforce to put in more efforts towards the attainment of organizational goals. Hadiza Godwin-Ebuni, NTA News.
Now, North Korea agrees to shut missile sites. Details of this and more with Obayeli Ogoke on News Across the Globe.
We begin with Togo's politics. Togo has announced that its legislative and local elections will hold on December 16th and 20th, as well as referendum on constitutional reforms. Meanwhile, mass anti-government rallies have repeatedly been held across the country, with protesters demanding an end to the 50-year rule by the Nasimbe family and constitutional reform, including a 2-term limit for president. The nationwide demonstrations have led to clashes between security forces and protesters, which have turned deadly. And turning now to Korean summit, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has agreed to shut down one of the country's main missile testing and launch sites. After meeting in Pyongyang, the two leaders agreed on a way to achieve denuclearization. The agreement was described by Mr. Kim as a leap forward towards military peace on the peninsula. In Pakistan, Islamabad's High Court has ordered the release of an ex-Prime Minister, Nawaz Sharif, 2 months after he began a 10-year jail sentence over corruption. The court suspended the sentences of Mr. Sharif, his daughter and son-in-law, Safdar Awan, Wednesday after their appeal. The ruling came after Mr. Sharif's wife, Kulsum Nawaz, died from cancer in London. They were briefly allowed out of prison to attend her funeral. That's it from this end. To stay tuned for the rest of the news, I'm Obiageli Ugoke.
Thank you, Obiageli, for the foreign news. Moving on to sports now. Football administrators in Katsina for elective Congress as World Women's number 3 and US Open champion records another victory at home. For more, it's over to Amanze Marcos on Sports Update.
Head coach of Nigeria's under-21 men's volleyball team, Elam Eli Sharma, has reviewed the country's inability to qualify for the 2019 World
Good day and welcome to another interesting episode of your program, Infrastructure Weekly. We will, as usual, be taking you around the country on visits to project sites in the power, works and housing sectors, as well as rail. I am your host, Abosedi Omowi. We will be back after this time out to set sail. Stay tuned.
Coming together of opportunities, and this is what...
Infrastructure is the backbone of development, which explains the Buhari government's effort at bridging the facility gap. Infrastructure Weekly is a television package designed to bring you latest information on hundreds of development projects going on in various sectors all over the nation.
There is no state in Nigeria today where you will not see our contractors busy at work.
Power generation, rural electrification, road rehabilitations, national housing scheme, construction of roads and rail lines across the country, you name it.
We are now able to produce 7,000 megawatt of power. That is no longer debatable.
Infrastructure Weekly is Nigerians working together for a better Nigeria. So be better informed to take better informed decisions. Watch Infrastructure Weekly, showing on Channels Television, Thursdays 2:30 p.m., NTA Network Wednesdays 5 p.m., and QTV News Fridays at 8 p.m. Infrastructure Weekly, making development known.
We start off this week from the housing sector, and precisely in Imo State, where, like all the other sites of the 2016 National Housing Project, it's now at over 80% completion. The site, according to the state team leader, Uchenna Ikejiofo, has helped in addressing the issue of youth restiveness with employment opportunities created, and will also help in reducing the housing deficit and exorbitant rent across the state.
This is the site of the National Housing Program in Imo State, instituted by the federal government as part of effort aimed at elevating the nation's housing deficit. The site, located in Havu community of the Owerri West local government area of the state, has now reached an advanced stage of work. The team leader of the National Housing Program in charge of the site in Imo State, Uchenna Ikejiofo, stated that the program, apart from the creation of job opportunities, when completed, will make accommodation affordable for the people of the state.
"12 has finished. It means 11 are still are yet to be completed. There are various stages of completion. Some of them quite advanced. You can see some have attained 70-75% completion, but you can see some here that are still at DPC.
Can you tell me? As you can see now, we are doing water reticulation. We've done the borehole. We've done the tanks. If you look at it down, you see the tank stand, and the tank is being fully installed. I can tell you we are all about 95% completion.
Ikejiofo noted that the team is also working to address the issue of challenges that come with this kind of project. He, however, opined that all is being done to continue to carry the host community along, since they are the primary beneficiary of the project.
The complaint has always been the ministry not giving them compensatory plots. But as we speak now, I am aware that the ministry has acceded to that particular demand and has given the community, a bulk portion of land as compensatory for them to share among themselves.
The road is about, let's say, 75%. But what is remaining is asphalting. If you look at it, you can see the drain completed, you see the filling. the laterite is filled, is compacted, everything is done to level.
The project on completion is expected to help in reducing the high tenancy rate in the state and also serve the host community by creating employment for its youths.
The Ministers of State 1 and 2 in the Ministry of Power, Works and Housing, Mustafa Babashiori and Suleiman Zarma, have described the National Housing Program as a major opportunity for professionals in the construction industry. They said the program will impact positively in terms of employment and development of skills and competencies in delivery of mass housing all around the country.
The housing and urban development sector in the colonial and post-colonial era shows that adequate and affordable housing remains elusive to a large number of Nigerians, despite the myriad of policies and programs initiated to address the problems facing the sector. Since the inception of the present All Progressives-led administration, the Federal Ministry of Power, Works and Housing has continued to review its strategies and fashion new options to address the challenges in housing infrastructure sector, especially with over 700% increased budgetary allocation in the last 3 years.
Since the first national housing, program that was executed under President Shagari, 2016 was the first year when national housing program was also introduced by this government.
One of the strategies adopted by President Muhammadu Buhari to increase housing stock in Nigeria is the National Housing Program being implemented in the 36 states of the Federation and the FCT. The strategy employed by the federal government now serves as an evolution of the Nigerian housing brand, which is a diversity of designs in response to cultural and climatic peculiarities of the Nigerian people.
This is the first time as a government that we are looking at who is going to take these houses, what is his need, what is his requirement, because affordability is a term that can be given any meaning by anybody. For example, a 5 million naira house can be affordable to me or to the permanent secretary, but is it affordable to some other persons? No. Therefore, what you are building is only affordable to the person who can afford it. So we now look at who the person is, who wants to take these houses, and then try to make it affordable to him.
The housing program was designed with to address not just the housing need, but also in line with the economic recovery and growth plan, touch the lives of the people, so that the components in the building materials are mostly locally produced building materials.
Efforts of the President Buhari-led administration is geared towards implementing the National Housing Program as a demonstration of the political will of the federal government to deliver on critical infrastructure in fulfillment of its promises to Nigerians. The program is having direct impacts on the people, as many professionals, contractors, artisans, and vendors are being engaged in the value chain.
The program has made significant impact in terms of job employment. We went around our sites and we found that on average there are about 1,000 people gaining employment in each of our sites. And like I mentioned, the materials, we took stock and found that over 23,000 doors to be purchased, and over 27,000 windows, floor tiles, wall tiles running into hundreds of thousands of square meters. So all these, have made positive impact on the manufacturing sector.
At present, over 2,700 of mixed housing units are at various levels of completion across the nation, and the Ministry of Power, Works and Housing
on your screen. Join us after this time out for more on the program. Stay tuned.
London, New York or Lagos, business or holiday, home or office, you can now carry out your tax transactions from anywhere in the world. You can now file all your tax returns, pay online, get a receipt, and even process your tax clearance certificate from anywhere in the world online and in real time. All you need to do is log on to www.firs.gov.ng and click on e-services and be introduced to the world of innovation, convenience, and transparency from the FIRS. You can also pay stamp duty as you register a new company with the CAC or for other transactions that require stamp duty payment online. You can also file your withholding tax returns and determine the withholding tax deducted from you is in government covers so that you can get your receipt within 45 days as long as the deduction has been remitted. Yes, all of this and more online at www.firs.gov.ng/e-services. FIRS, making tax administration as easy as ABC. Please note that all FIRS services are free of charge. This message is from the Federal Inland Revenue Service. It pays to pay your tax.
If you were just joining us, the program is still Infrastructure Weekly. For comment on some of the projects and reports we have brought to you on this program, please feel free to get in touch on the social media handles showing on your screen. Your comment will be on subsequent episodes of the program. Now to the road sector. The federal government says it will continue to invest in infrastructure all over the country, not only to advance economic development and diversification, but as a means of social change. Director of Highways in the ministry said the investment will continue on the part of the federal government. He said these investments will take Nigeria to the next level.
Nigeria has a national road network comprising of federal, state, and local government roads, making Nigeria the country with the largest road network in West Africa. These roads connect villages to cities, industrial centers to ports, as well as link agrarian communities to economic thought. Against this background, the federal government of Nigeria under President Muhammadu Buhari has recognized the challenges and opportunities inherent within the nation's road infrastructure sector. The Ministry of Power, Works and Housing is managing the construction and rehabilitation of more than 300 roads and bridges spread across the 6 geopolitical zones of the country. In line with the popular Chinese saying, if you want to make a people rich, build roads. The federal government says the economic recovery and growth plan of the present administration seeks to provide good roads to reduce travel time, vehicle operation costs, develop other forms of transportation, make economic, commercial and business activities thrive along various routes.
With the leadership provided by the president, there's a very, very clear commitment to renewing and replacing and expanding the country's infrastructure. So a lot of our public spending is committed to roads, rail, bridges, power, airports, seaports, and that is what the government of Nigeria under President Buhari is focusing on.
A nation cannot grow without, equal development in the areas of infrastructure. But only 20 billion naira was allocated in 2015. But in 2016, the government of President Muhammadu Buhari allocated over 200 and something billion. And consider the fact that immediately after 2015, in 2016, we went into recession. And even in the middle of that huge, sum was allocated for works.
The first 2 years of the Buhari administration has seen a quantum leap in the funding of road infrastructure. In 2015, 19 billion naira was set aside by the former administration of Goodluck Jonathan for all federal roads. The federal government under President Muhammadu Buhari has set aside 300 billion naira for the reconstruction and rehabilitation of strategic roads across the country in 2018. Travel time, which used to be about 4 hours or less, is now 6 hours less. This has also increased efficiency in the movement of goods, persons and services across the country, as well as boost investments and create jobs.
You will give it to this government that the quality of roads that you see us building today is definitely a departure of what was done in the last 16, 20 years of this nation. We have the situation where you're building a 100-kilometer road before now. By the time you do the first 40 kilometers, the first 10 kilometers is already begging for maintenance. We have changed that narrative today. The quality of our road is A+.
At the time this administration came in, we had projects that were awarded to about 2.something trillion naira commitments by government. Between 2015 and today, the government has awarded projects up to about 1.2 trillion, and there are about 164 projects. This is all geared towards bridging that infrastructure gap and providing a network that people can travel at reduce their travel times to their destination.
Since the inception of this administration, there has been an increase in capital spending to about 30% compared to about 10% earlier. This increased spending contributes to bridging the infrastructure deficit and boosting the nation's GDP through enhanced local content in Nigerian road construction.
We came up with a solution, and what they did was to make a seed fund from the Sovereign Wealth Fund. They set up the Presidential Infrastructure Development Fund, which is being managed by the Nigerian Sovereign Investment Authority. And the seed fund of $650 million was put in that fund. And that fund is to start the financing of Lagos-Ibadan, Second Niger Bridge, Abuja, Kaduna to Kano, the East-West Road, and the Mangala project, power project. So there are 5 key projects under that fund.
The first 3 years of this present government has witnessed a drastic reduction in the number of stalled road projects and the commencement of new ones all over the country. However, at the rate it is boosting infrastructure investments, roads, rail and power, the Buhari administration is undoubtedly helping Nigeria find the road to glory.
Thanks for staying tuned. For details, comments and inquiries, you can get in touch with us on Facebook at facebook.com/infrastructureweekly and on Twitter at infra_weekly. We will be back after this break as we hit the home stretch. Stay tuned.
Coming together of opportunities, and this is what
infrastructure is the backbone of development, which explains the Buhari government's effort at bridging the facility gap. Infrastructure Weekly is a television package designed to bring you latest information on hundreds of development projects going on in various sectors all over the nation.
There is no state in Nigeria today where you will not see our contractors busy at work.
Power generation, rural electrification, road rehabilitations, national housing scheme, construction of roads and rail lines across the country, you name it.
We are now able to produce 7,000 megawatt of power. That is no longer debatable.
Infrastructure Weekly is Nigerians working together for a better Nigeria. So be better informed to take better informed decisions. Watch Infrastructure Weekly, showing on Channels Television, Thursdays 2:30 p.m., NTA Network Wednesdays 5 p.m., and Core TV News Fridays at 8 p.m. Infrastructure Weekly, making development known.
Thanks so much for staying with us. We hit the home straight today with a look at the effort being made to continue to reduce the incidence of disagreement between customers and distribution companies in the distribution leg of the power value chain, and also continue the expansion of the transmission grid. These efforts, according to the Minister of Power, Works and Housing, continue apace. He added that the expansion of the transmission grid is a 10-year strategic plan that is ongoing.
Nigeria is a country of over 150 million people and has for many years of electricity generation, transmission and distribution witnessed frequent and persistent outages. Currently, the federal government has embarked on power sector reforms with the intention of improving the unpleasant scenario, in turn reduce the scope of monopoly control of the nation's power industry. Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, says the federal government is willing to partner with the Arab Republic of Egypt to support the manufacturing and provision of meters for sustainable investments in the distribution end of the power value chain in the country, while emphasizing the 10-year transmission power plan to increase transmission capacity.
We need investments in the distribution end of our power value chain. We have a 10-year transmission plan which will increase the transmission capacity to transmit energy between the generating companies and the distribution companies, and we've already started implementing most of that. So across the country now, there are close to 90 transmission projects in different stages of completion, either expansion of substations or total reconstruction of new lines, expansion of existing capacity, reconducting of existing lines, and that is going on in about 90 different places across the country. So the transmission capacity is increasing as each project is being completed.
Sharif, who represented the Arab Republic of Egypt, appeals for continuous cooperation between Nigeria and Egypt in some mega power, works and housing projects across the nation.
We look forward to working with our partners and our friends in Nigeria to explore the opportunities of cooperation and explore the opportunities of mutual investment in Egypt and in Nigeria.
Across the country now, we have close to 90 transmission projects in different stages of completion on expansion of substation and expansion of existing capacities, among others. This has led to the increase in power generation by approximately 1,000 megawatts yearly. However, the big challenge facing the sector, which is at the distribution end, is gradually being addressed.
When we came in, the sector generates 2-point-something megawatts. It's not up to 3,000 megawatts. But today, we are generating over 7,000 megawatts. Government has invested in
megawatts and more. Now, that did not happen as an accident. It is a deliberate attempt by this government. That is how we achieved that. Now, if you generate power and it doesn't get to the end, you have a problem. Now, we also invested, and we are still investing in transmission. We have the wheeling capacity as of today that can transport over 20,000 megawatts of power. We have that capacity today. And what are we doing? We are using indigenous contractors and indigenous engineers to boost this wheeling capacity, and they are warehoused in TCN, the transmission company of Nigeria.
Acknowledging the long-standing bilateral relationship between Nigeria and Egypt, Fashola says a lot of government funding under President Muhammadu Buhari's administration is committed to power, construction of bridges, roads, airports, seaports, among others, in order to create a globally competitive Nigerian economy. The partnership between both countries will foster huge investments and boost power supply in the country.
Before we go today, we'll leave you with the cheering news of the energizing of 2 more transformers at power transmission substations in Edo and Ogun State by the Transmission Company of Nigeria. And that's part of the overall power transmission grid development and expansion. The transformers, both 60 MVA, will in the case of Edo serve the Okbala community, Boa Cement Factory, Agenabode town and environs, and the Igara community of Edo State. The transformer in Ogun State is expected to serve the people of Pakpalanto and environs in Ogun State. That's it for today. Join us again for another interesting episode of the program next week. Thanks so much for staying tuned. Let's continue that conversation and engagement on social media and continue to be a good citizen of Nigeria by paying your tax. I am Abosade Omohoye. See you next week.
Like say they want to tell us another story again, yo. Now so, you know, say people they say I be superstar. But for me, the real superstars are those people where they go vote for the candidate of their choice without violence. So for these upcoming elections, be my superstar. Vote. No fights. No violence. Because the election will be won. We work together so the future will be brighter.